Sawa. Gwarita tosha kwa Rais wa Jamhuri wa Uganda, kwa wananchi wa Uganda na kwa jeshi la ulinzi la nchi ya Uganda. Viva Rais ya Uganda! Viva wananchi wa Uganda! Viva jeshi la ulinzi la wananchi wa Uganda! Wake up! Badilisha, stand up! Go, punch it!
A very big round of applause to the parade commander, Kainerugaba, and the entire parade participants. It has been a very beautiful parade in a very beautiful weather. Your Excellency, we also recognize the honorable members of parliament here. You are all welcome. As I had earlier mentioned, I will now proceed to invite the Joint Staff Political Commissar, UPDF, Major General Henry Masiko, to come and present his report on the very numerous Sita Defense Forces activities that have been taking place since November 2025. Today is the climax, but a lot has been happening. And I'm very sure and confident that the Joint Staff Political Commissar has a very rich report which he will share with His Excellency the President, the First Lady, and Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, and the entire audience very, very shortly.
Naomba kuendelea, Your Excellency. Your Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and our President-elect, Mama Janet Museveni, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Your Excellency the Vice President, Your Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Deputy Speaker, the senior leaders who are the Prime Ministers Emeritus, Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi, Right Honorable Kainerugaba, members of the Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement present, Your Excellencies, the Ambassadors and High Commissioners, the former Deputy Chief Justice, Honorable Ministers and Ministers of State present, Senior Presidential Advisors present, our Permanent Secretary, Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, and your colleague and other senior government technocrats, our Chief of Defense Forces, and Special Presidential Advisor, Special Operations, the Deputy CDF, members of the High Command, the service commanders, the Chief of Joint Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Commissioner General of Uganda Prison Services, the Director General ISO, the Director General ESO, the Head of Public Service and Secretary to Cabinet, honorable members of Parliament, our distinguished visiting military delegations, the defense advisors and military attaches, our distinguished religious leaders and cultural leaders present, the many district leaders of Kigezi sub-region and beyond present, general officers, senior officers of our security forces, officers and militants of UPDF, all the distinguished invited guests, all people present here from the Kigezi region and Uganda at large, ladies and gentlemen, a good afternoon. I am Major General Henry Masco Darubweine, the Joint Staff Political Commissar of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, here to present a brief report to Your Excellency about the 45th anniversary Defense Forces activities, and also use the opportunity to highlight the significance of the Fronasa monument that you have unveiled this morning. Your Excellency, on behalf of the Defense Organizing Committee, headed by our Chief of Joint Staff, and on my own behalf, allow me to welcome Your Excellency and all our distinguished guests to the 45th anniversary celebrations of the birth of the People's Army, the Uganda People's Defense Forces, that is being witnessed here today at Kabale National Teachers Playground. Happy birthday is what brings us here. Your Excellency, allow me, before I go into the report, to use this singular honor to express our deepest congratulations on your well-deserved landslide victory in the recently concluded polls. Your Excellency, we particularly salute your extraordinary campaign trail characterized by rich articulation of the gains of the People's Revolution, and most important, guaranteeing that the country held one of the most peaceful elections witnessed not only nationally, but also in the standards of the region in the recent times. Your Excellency, in a special way, in that context, I want to pay special gratitude to our Chief of Defense Forces and Senior Presidential Advisor Special Operations for having steered us well under the banner of the National Election Mobilization Security Task Force. Your Excellency, we received a leadership unprecedented that delivered your intent to have a stable and peaceful environment that delivered the peaceful elections. Your Excellency, let me grab this opportunity on behalf of the 10 newly elected members of Parliament to represent UPDF in the 12th Parliament to sincerely thank you and the CDF for the honor and trust granted to us to represent the mighty UPDF yet another time as a deployment in Parliament. We pledge not to let your trust down, especially in maintaining the objectives you set for UPDF MPs while in the House. Let me now go to the gist of my report. Your Excellency, the 45th Tarehesita anniversary is being celebrated under the theme Defending the Gains of the Revolution and Honoring the Sacrifices of Freedom Fighters, a call for national unity, peace, and socio-economic transformation. Your Excellency, today is the climax of one of the most elaborate series of Defense Forces activities that commenced way back in November last year, 2025. This particular anniversary was deliberately conducted in phases to take care of the visa period of the electoral programs. As a result, the timelines for this year's activities were as follows. There was a brief to the national leaders hailing from Kigezi region in November on 11th, 2025. There was a brief to the media on 12th November 2025. Our civil engineers inserted in the region and other parts of the country to commence construction activities of our quick impact projects. The national launch held at the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs Joint Headquarters was held on 18th November 2025, and on that same day we had a special luncheon for corporates and MDAs who normally cooperate with us in conducting this anniversary. The Joint Staff Political Commissar and media teams reached this region on 29th November 2025 with a big team of our medical personnel reaching this region from first and conducted their activities up to 15th December 2025. Your Excellency, as is our tradition, we held a series of ideological seminars in the region, notable one for the youth leaders, another for interreligious leaders and our veterans between 1st to 7th December. Thereafter, there were a regional launch at Sorosaza ground, commencing the activities in the region, and this was graced by the Right Honorable Prime Minister on 2nd December 2025. There were district launches on 3rd December, commencing activities in all the 6 districts of the region. We withdrew a bit, and in January on 2nd, our teams returned to the region, and the purpose was to hand over the civil engineers' quick impact projects in very colorful functions graced by the Wananchi and a number of political leaders. Today is the climax when we are witnessing the real anniversary of our 45th birthday. Like it has been the case for the past Tarehe celebrations, the Defense Forces activities are conducted across the country and in all mission areas where UPDF is deployed. Following Your Excellency's approval, the 45th Tarehe national activities have been now hosted by Kigezi sub-region in the 6 districts of Kabale, Rukunjiri, Kanungu, Kisoro, Rubanda, and Ruchiga. Your Excellency, the choice of Kigezi as the host of these National Defense Forces activities was a very correct choice. It is an acknowledgement of the region's links with the revolutionary causes, right from independence movement, the anti-Amin resistance, and the solid support the NRM revolution has enjoyed in this region to date. Kigezi stands out as one of the regions that embraces and has embraced the principled ideology of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, and modernization. Kigezi has over the years overcome the hitherto bad politics of identity and is on a steady path of embracing modernization for socio-economic transformation. Your Excellency, we need to remind the country that in the early phase of the nationalist politics of independence, one of the iconic figures of Uganda National Congress hailed from Kisoro in the names of John Karekezi, the dad of our General Kale Kayihura, who closely worked with Ignatius Muhoozi in that pioneering role. other household names from this region in the era of independence include John Bikangaga, Bwankosa, Babu Chika, Ernestine Bisamunyu, Zeikarekaho, to mention but a few. But close to Terehesita activities, we wish to remember that in Your Excellency's earlier efforts of revolutionary struggles, some of your close allies were sons of this region. Right Honorable Kainerugaba, Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi, Honorable Matthew Chirikeire, Honorable Jack Mbabazi, others including but not limited to the late Sepi Mukombe Mpambara, and others who are in our book of the synopsis. The anti-Amin resistance was embraced by other Chigezi personalities who should be recognized. Some indeed paid the ultimate price of shedding blood. Notable ones include the late Joseph Bitwari, late James Karambulizi, the late David Kagorokanjire, the late James Birihanze, late Professor Karimuzo, the first black Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, the late Kabagambe Esaza, Chief of Kisoro, Kasaza, who was a dad of one of our entrepreneurs here, Sifas Birungi. Others unsung and well-known include Rutachi Besigensi, Isidoro Tirwomwe, Wilson Niyonzima, Sam Mutabazi Rutagarukayo, Eric Birgeija, Rwambuka, and this one is still alive, Peter Bukokosi, Bernard Kayari, and Kakuru, father of the late Azizi Kwesiga, and unknown to many personalities who did clandestine work included the likes of Bishop Barnabas Haremana, Bishop Festo Chivenjere and Merabu Chivenjere, Father Vianney Kamari, Hope Chivenjere, Ambassador Matogo, Shemu Bageine, Edson Turiagenda, Nicholas and Rosette Bjengoma, William Babigumira, Ambassador Kangwaje, Stephen, Professor Tebire Emmanuel, just to mention a few. The detailed list is in our synopsis booklet. There are some amazing ladies I want to introduce to you, Your Excellency, who were outstanding in choosing politics of unity. Emukeikuru Bakamunaga in Bugonji, she stood out to embrace politics of unity when others were in the traditional sectarian politics. There is Omukeikuru Victor Bindeba, who is here today, of Rukunjire Nas, who supported our member who used to recruit fighters in Rukunjiri. Some of the highlights of the 25-26 Defense Forces activities include: 1, the political and ideological seminars for youth, which I have talked about, and significantly we had interaction with the university students who were on holiday, with symposia in the districts of Rukuchiga, Kabare, Rukunjiri, and Rubanda. Our district mobilization teams, together with other security forces, CIMIC forces, cleaned and engaged in exercises of Bulungi Bwansi as a sign, as a signal of paying back to the population and showing an example. In all the districts, our teams planted many trees in areas that had earlier been identified and confirmed between us and the district leaders. Your Excellency, a solid team of UPDF generals, officers, and junior officers from our commissariat and other departments at the Joint Headquarters carried out a number of CIMIC activities. I would wish to particularly point out this team led by Brigadier Michael Chibuye, head of CIMIC engagements, Brigadier Justice Rukundo, who led the Rukunjiri initiative, Colonel Nelson Ahebwa, who coordinated the team, Colonel K. Rukogota, who headed the Rubanda effort, Colonel Asaba, who headed the youth mobilization efforts, Colonel Francis Byabigwamu, who headed the seminars for the religious leaders, Colonel Francis Xavier Bakehena, who headed our medical team in the region, Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Rwabujumbure, who led the solo efforts, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Kamuntu, who led efforts in Kabale, Lieutenant Colonel Richard Nimanya, who led efforts in Ruchiga, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Tungura in Kanungu, and Major Engineer Albert Mukama, who headed our construction teams, which carried out very, very impactful CBD projects. Your Excellency, some of the light engineering projects that were undertaken in all the 6 districts and were officially handed over to the beneficiaries on the 6th January were mainly construction of classroom blocks, 8 of them, construction of culvert bridges, 8 of them, construction of sanitary facilities, 7 of them, construction of some staff accommodation blocks, 7 of them, and construction of some health facilities, particularly maternity wards, 2 of them, and construction of a 20-store market structure, and lastly, 2 monuments, one which you have commissioned in the stadium, Kabale, and also the fencing of the Saza grounds in Ikisoro. Your Excellency, the details are well documented in our synopsis book. The medical surgical camps, which started on 1st December and operated for a period of 14 days in the 6 districts of the region, covered a total of 50,425 patients, 15,142 males, 35,000 females. These were attended to by our static and mobile medical teams, and in all, significantly, 578 general surgeries were conducted. We also had a number of donations. Other highlights included our formal education and sports activities, where we donated to schools. We had patriotic debates in secondary schools on the theme. We had very, very engaging sports activities, which actually ended yesterday. And wananchi in this district, in this region, really felt the warmth of the UPDF and themselves as partners. Your Excellency, let me use this opportunity to thank and acknowledge the special support offered by some patriotic Ugandans, MDAs, and corporate entities who always donate generously and support us in these activities. Significantly, we salute the Commissioner General Uganda Prison Services. He renovated and Commanding Chief for your continuous guidance towards this important historic event, for always finding time to preside over this function in person. We do not take this for granted, Your Excellency. We want to salute the CDF who steadily guided this process up to date. We want to also thank the political leadership of the Ministry of Defense for supporting the Defense Organizing Committee. And I want to salute the team headed by the Chief of Joint Staff who have steered this function to date. Your Excellency, briefly allow me to highlight what went on at the stadium this morning as you commissioned the monument, the Fronasa monument, this day. The significance of such monuments, like the one you have unveiled at Kabale Stadium, Your Excellency and countrymen, the nation and mainly the young generation needs to understand the significance of the event that has been performed in the stadium this morning. Quoting from Your Excellency own account, in the second edition of Sowing the Mustard Seed, The Struggle for Freedom and Democracy in Uganda, pages 102 to 105, under the subtitle, A Rare Form of Bravery, you as the author, Your Excellency, points out the circumstances that culminated to the events of 10th February 1973, when Idi Amin carried out public executions by firing squad of some arrested Fronasa cadres in a number of parts of Uganda. According to Your Excellency's account on page 104, in Kabale, those who were executed were John Bitwari, James Karambuzi, and David Kagorokanjire. On the same day in Mbarara, Karuhanga Akamu Harabu was executed. In Fort Potro, the same day, Malibo and Kasolo were executed. In Igulu, Labeja and Obona were executed. In Jinja, Ntale and Nkoko were executed. And in Mbale, Abatalumanya Captain Masaba and Namirudu were also executed. According to the same account, on the Kabale victims, you point out that James Bitwari and Karambuzi had been betrayed by a deserter from the bush in the bushes of Chiterera in Mayuge, while Kanjire was arrested in Iguru, having been betrayed by a one Latigo. It is the same Latigo who betrayed Rwaheru and Karuhanga of Chambogo from Nasa Cell by causing the arrest of Kanjire, who had used Chambogo as a transit point. The same Latigo betrayed Labeja and Obona, while Malibo and Kasolo had been arrested on mere suspicion. Therefore, building monuments to preserve such a history is very essential, Your Excellency. For the monument in Kabale Stadium, I am honored to give an account as a witness who was present as a young spectator. Idi Amin, after arresting what he dubbed the guerrillas, decreed that he would conduct a public execution by firing squad of those under his custody. The notice for public execution was run on national radio for over a week, a matter that was intended to instill fear and terror. Indeed, he decreed the 10th February 1973, a Saturday, to be exact 12 noon, as the time of spontaneous execution. For the event in Kabale, the public was mobilized to be seated in the stadium as early as 9 hours. At about 11 hours, a convoy of lorries and small jeeps sneaked down the Makanga Hill, overlooking the entire Kabale town, intended clearly advertise what was about to happen. The 3 victims were openly being paraded on one of the jeeps, heavily guarded. Once the convoy reached post office, it sneaked through the streets of Kabale, entering the stadium from the current Christ the King Church direction. Your Excellency, the rain has sabotaged my written, but I have it in my head. Once the convoy reached the stadium, one lorry, which was bringing the firing party, parked near where the monument has been erected. Another lorry full of prisoners to evacuate the bodies once the execution is finished was also on another side. And the jeep carrying the victims went straight to the wall where we have erected the monument, and the commander followed in the jeep. And a few minutes to noon, the bishop, late Festo Chivenjere, was given opportunity to go and pray for the victims and also take their last messages to their families. The bishop nearly delayed the execution time, which was to be exactly at noon, hence being dragged by the commander himself and placing him behind the lines of the firing party. The bishop, seeing that now he was almost part of the firing party, decided to wave at the victims. As the victims tried to raise their hands, bullets went off, and the whole stadium was filled with grief, darkness, and agony. Thereafter, the lorry which had been brought with the prisoners dashed to the scene, put in the bodies, and dashed off to an unknown destination. An unknown destination because the graves of those 3 have never been traced. Your Excellency, this was a small citation of what you did there for purposes of the members of the public who didn't attend. Once again, I want to thank Your Excellency for gracing this occasion, for continuous guiding us, and wish all Ugandans happy 45th Tarehe Sita anniversary celebrations. I want to thank you. Aluta continua.
Thank you very much, the Joint Staff Political Commissar, Major General Henry Masco, for that elaborate Taresita presentation, and what he has just recited now, the horrors of the 1970s under Idi Amin Dada. Your Excellency, also permit me to recognize the following distinguished guests in our midst. The Third Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Nakadama, you are welcome, and we are happy to have you here with us. The Inspector General of Police, Abbas Yakagawa, we are also humbled to have you here with us. Your Excellency, we also have retired generals and senior officers, but I will just recognize 2 for now. We have the former Inspector General of Police, retired General Kale Kaihura, you are welcome, and former Deputy Chief of Defense Forces, retired General Ivan Koreta. Your Excellency, We also have defense attaches who have braved the distance and the terrain to join us here. And we are joined by the defense attaché from Sudan, Major General Faizo Ali. You are welcome. The defense attaché from the United States of America, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Noumba, you are welcome. The defense attaché from France, Lieutenant Colonel Sebastian Baga, you are welcome. We also have Your Excellency, the Kenyan High Commissioner to Uganda, Ambassador Joash Mangi, and the High Commissioner of Tanzania to Uganda, His Excellency Bunto. You are all welcome. We are proceeding with the program as scheduled despite the rain. This is a blessing, so we should take it in very good faith indeed. Without further ado, I take the pleasure to invite the Joint Staff Human Resource Management UPDF, Major General James Chinalwa, to come and present the outstanding junior officer of the UPDF for the year 2025. This is a new initiative courtesy of our Chief of Defense Forces and Senior Presidential Advisor for Special Operations. I believe this will be great motivation for the junior officers and other officers of UPDF going forward. The Joint Staff Human Resource Management will present him and the process of selection, and thereafter he will march to the Chief of Defense Forces and Senior Presidential Advisor for Special Operations to receive his award, and thereafter the Chief of Defense Forces and Senior Presidential Advisor for Special Operations will give his remarks, and thereafter we will continue and proceed with the program. Joint Staff Human Resource Management UPDF, Major General Chinalwa, you're welcome.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the UPDF, allow me right on the protocol observed. I'm Major General James Chinalwa, the Joint Staff Human Resource Management of the UPDF. Your Excellency, I'm here to present the outstanding junior officer for the award of the CDF for the year 2025. Your Excellency, sir, UPDF under the stewardship of the Chief of Defense Forces and the Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, introduced an annual award to recognize an outstanding UPDF junior officer within the ranks of second lieutenant to the rank of the major. Your Excellency, the award is aimed at promoting excellence, discipline, leadership, and professionalism within the lower ranking officers by recognizing their individual outstanding competencies. Your Excellency, sir, the CDF guided on the selection criteria to determine the officer's performance, and these criteria included, among others, discipline, the physical fitness, moral and physical courage, integrity, leadership traits, the professional competence, as well as general performance in the field of work, among other parameters. In addition to the selection criteria, Your Excellency, the assessment was further supported with officers' annual confidential report, peer rating, the 22 critical requirements of an officer, oral and written exams, as well as vetting by the Chief of Defense Intelligence and Security to assess the officer's track record. Your Excellency, the selection process was done at three levels of command: the tactical level, operational level, and strategic level. The exercise started at the tactical level of command, that's the level of a battalion, regiment or squadron, to the brigades, the divisions, up to the operational level, that is the service headquarters, where each service of UPDF selected a winner who finally competed at the strategic level. The following officers emerged as service winners: